Good morning, my name is Yaron Spiwak and I'm the music director for the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles. Let's start the morning with a beautiful song. When you're down, troubled, and you need some love and care, and nothing, oh nothing is going right. Close your eyes, think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am that I'll come running to see you again. Spring, summer, or fall, all you got to do is call, and I'll be there, yes I will. You've got a friend. When the skies above you goes dark and full of clouds, and at all old north wind begins to blow, keep your hands together and call my name out loud. Soon I'll be knocking at your door. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am that I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you got to do is call, and I'll be there, yes I will. And I'll be there, yes I will. And I'll be there, yes I will. You've got a friend. You've got a friend. You've got a friend. You've got a friend.
Thank you, Yaron, for welcoming us in on this beautiful Sunday morning, July 4th in the year 2021. I'm Rev Dr Keith Cox, and it's my honor to be with you here today at the Center for Spiritual Living at Los Angeles as you join us online through the glory of the modern world through technology, whether that's through Zoom and or through our Facebook group or at a later date through our YouTube channel. A big hello and welcome to you for bringing your energy into our virtual home. I want you to know that as we celebrate this day of freedom, July 4th in the year 2021 here in the United States of America, that we each take a moment and honor the freedom that we have, that we are able to walk this journey of life in our country with the freedoms that we have. And so today's service will be all about honoring the freedom that we have both as spiritual beings and as human beings on this planet. So once again, I welcome you to being here with us today. I'm going to put onto the screen our visuals for the morning as we kick off our service today and guide us through the welcoming and the beginning part of our service. And so as we see on the screen, here we go. And so we are the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, a community that supports individuals as they find their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. Today, as we see Old Glory flying in the background of our visuals on the screen, our graphics, I invite you to open yourself up to believing that you're on this journey of a spiritual awakening and becoming more personally self-empowered as a result of honoring the freedom that not only exists at that human level in our country, but to do it from a divine perspective of where the mind exists, that we are all one in, and supporting and knowing that that's true for all individuals as they walk the planet, that they indeed find both more freedom, that innate freedom that exists within each and every one of us as a divine being, but also on the personal journey of the human level, that freedom is a right, a birthright that everyone begins to find more and more and more on their journey. I want to welcome you once again to the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. We're a community that's been around for a little over 30 years now in the land of Los Angeles. We teach primarily the teachings of Dr. Ernest Holmes, known as the Science of Mind. It's a philosophy and faith and way of life that's at its core is that there's only one power that's taking place in the universe. It's called the thing itself, Source, sometimes even known as God. But it's an impersonal power that exists by means of you and by means of me. It's also known as mind itself, and that we both experience and express and exude this power through our thoughts, our actions, our reactions, our interactions with the very thing itself, life. And because we live in a universe that is governed by spiritual law, we get to see to what degree we're using this power in an effective way, because the universe brings forth into the form of experience a reflection of what's taking place in our mind, our actions, our thoughts, and our reactions with the very thing itself. And so we're drawn together this morning and each and every Sunday morning to support our vision, which you've heard already, which is supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. And so we gather together today in this very sacred space known as the Sunday celebration service to hear music, to become anchored in spiritual practice, and to take a moment to honor not only ourselves on the journey, but all of humanity and our community. And so I invite you to take a moment today and to open your mind consciously, to open your heart consciously, and to open yourself up to knowing in a new way who you are as a divine being. And so we move into our morning ritual called calling in the light. And so as I work to get some music up for us as we move into this ritual, let's all breathe in together, honoring that power within us. For our morning ritual called Calling in the Light. And so we perform this ritual today, calling in the light, as we look at the flame and the candles on the screen, remembering that we each have a light within us, the flame of the divine. And so today we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all sentient beings, come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. For the purpose of this ritual is to draw into our gathering this morning a conscious awareness of our oneness and the qualities that we possess as complete expressions of the divine. The quality that I would like for us to focus on this morning is light. The acronym that I like to use for light is living in God's healing truth. And that truth is that you and I are perfection, wholeness, and completeness just as we are. We're enough. And so it's from this place that we open up today and allow the divine to ignite a fire, a flame within us in a new way, to remember the glory and the blessings that exist for us as both spiritual and human beings of freedom. The blessing that I have for us this morning is a Franciscan blessing. In the teachings of the science of mind, we use our prayers and blessings in the form of I am, a declarative state. So when you hear the words, may God bless you, allow that to resonate in your experience through an I am when you hear, may God bless you, with I am on this journey. The Franciscan blessing for the day. May God, that infinite power, bless you and I with the discomfort at easy answers, half-truths, and superficial relationships, so that you may live deep within your heart. May God bless you with anger at injustice, oppression, and exploitation of people, so that you may work for justice, freedom, and peace. May God bless you with tears to shed for those who suffer with pain, rejection, hunger, and war, so that you and I may reach out our hands in comfort to them and to turn their pain into joy. And may God, that infinite power within us that is everywhere, bless you and I with enough foolishness to believe that we can make a difference in this world, so that we can do what others claim cannot be done, to bring justice and kindness to all our children and the poor. And so I know this blessing sounds a bit harsh, but the essence of it is making a statement of us being called to a higher vibrational frequency by living with not only peace in our heart, but knowing that there's peace on earth for all people, all sentient beings. We're going to move into the next aspect of our ritual of singing the song, Let There Be Peace on Earth, remembering that the acronym, seems like the morning of acronyms, for peace is purposeful energy activates conscious evolution. Yaron will guide us through the song, and I invite you to sing along. The lyrics will be on the screen.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With each step I take, let this be my soul and vow to take each moment and live each moment with peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. And let it begin with me.
Yaron, I thank you, and I thank each one of you for sharing in this moment of peace. And so let's affirm that as we move forward this day, that purposeful energy is indeed activating conscious evolution on this journey of this morning and beyond. And that we let our freedom ring in a way that the vibrational frequency of the bell of freedom radiates out into the universe, bringing forth an awakening for each and every individual. What a wonderful opportunity we have before us today. Thank you and namaste. I'm so happy this morning that we have such a wonderful guest musician with us. He's graced us with his beauty and his presence and his power. At many other times, both in person when we had the glory of doing that on La Brea Avenue, but certainly now online as we've been on this journey of coming together in celebration. This morning we have with us the one and only Dedrick Bonner. And so I want to welcome Dedrick Bonner to our community this morning and turn the stage over to him as he continues bringing us his blessings and his music. Ladies and gentlemen, Dedrick Bonner.
What you want, baby, I got it. What you need, you know I got it. But all I'm asking is for a little respect when I get home. Hey, baby, when you get home. Oh, yeah. I ain't gonna do you wrong while you're gone. I ain't gonna do you wrong, cause I don't wanna. All I'm asking is for a little respect when you get home. Hey, baby, when you get home. Oh, yeah. I'm about to give you all my money. All I'm asking in return, honey, is you give me my purpose when you get home. Hey, baby, when you get home. Ooh, your kisses are sweeter than honey. And guess what? So is my money. All I want you to do for me is give it to me when you get home. Hey, baby, when you get home. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, find out what it means to me. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, take care, T-C-P. Yeah! I'm tired of keep on trying. You're running out of fool, and I ain't lying. I said I'm tired of keep on trying. You're running out of fools, and I ain't lying. I need respect.
Thank you, Dedrick, for a stunning and beautiful rendition of that song. So stirring to my soul. You're always so fantastic. So thank you. I look forward to seeing you later on in our service. And so without further ado, let's begin our Sunday message today as we bring to the screen the graphics, and off we go. Happy 4th of July. And here we are at another July 4th, Independence Day weekend here in the United States of America. Today is July 4th in the year 2021, and the title of my message for us today is Let Freedom Ring. Today we're going to take a look at freedom, and I invite you to open your mind to hear things anew and to be receptive to the idea that as we continue on our journey of finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, both our experience and expression of freedom is ever evolutionary, just as our consciousness expands and it too is evolving. I'd like to begin today by reading from the book The Caged Bird by the great poet and author Maya Angelou. She writes, "A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends, and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage and seldom see through his bars of rage, his wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing." The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze, and the trade winds soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn-bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But a caged bird stands on the grave of dreams. His shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. I love this last line. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. No matter where you and I are on our journey of finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, at some place deep in our soul, probably to some degree, there's still a bit of the fearful trill of things unknown, and we long for still those things. But we also are somewhere deep in our consciousness knowing that we're knowing that freedom is our divine birthright. And the very things that we desire to know in this experience of freedom itself can be a reflection of that innate freedom, that divine freedom, that place within us that knows that we know that we know that all is well. And so today, as we take a new look at freedom, I encourage us and invite us as we look at the screen and see this beautiful woman who is unzipping her top and unfurling and letting free the colors and the expressions of her consciousness, if you will, that you and I begin to see and hear and experience and express freedom in a new way. The definition of freedom is the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants. We do have some freedom of choice. And so you and I both are at that point of choice right now in our life as to how we use our freedom for our own awakening on our journey, but also how we share that and give it back to the universe in a way that propagates good for everyone. As we can see on the screen right now, today we're being called to release ourselves from thinking in the old way. We all know that definition of crazy, which is continuing to think in the same old way but expecting a new result. It shows us on the screen that by the same old thinking, we get the same old results. In other words, it's like a broken record where the scratch is that the same thinking repeats over and over and over. Now, I know in modern day music, the scratching of a record is a great way to enhance the beat, the sound. But for the purpose of today's talk, I want us to begin to look at where in our life are we being enslaved. In other words, the opposite of freedom, by continuing to think the same way, to act the same way, to interact and to react in the same manner, but yet expecting life to be different. For we're being called today to release ourselves from the overthinking of life itself. As it shows us on the screen, to break the overthinking by setting our mind free from destructive thoughts, those that which are not productive, and to never let anxiety or negative thinking get in, because that then prevents the way of a happy or fulfilled life. And let's go beyond the act of simple happiness, even though obviously that is what we are seeking to experience and express in life. But by looking at those are the things that prevent us from growing and expanding and evolving, from living from love or from the heart, as it tells us and shows us on the upper right portion of the screen here, which is, hey, heart, we got a problem, heart. What do you think we should do? And the brain says, let's complain about it until it magically disappears. But we all know, just as that butterfly shows us in the upper portion of that for us to get to that stage of the butterfly, We must go through the metamorphosis of being the caterpillar. In other words, we're being called to evolve for that more beautiful expression of who we innately are. To make itself known, we must break free from the cocoon of what was, the caterpillar, if you will. And so today, because we are once again at this pinnacle point of thinking anew, to listen to the great poet Rumi when he tells us that true freedom comes to those who have escaped the questions of free will and fate, to use our speech, our philosophy, our way of life in a new way to set ourselves free, to live in peace as it shows us in this wordle on the screen, remembering that peace is purposeful energy, activates conscious evolution. And so today, as we let our freedom ring in a new way, let's begin to evolve into a higher state of consciousness, and then purposefully using the energy of this great combustion of thinking anew to activate a new state of mind, ultimately bringing forth into the experience of our lives the butterfly, that which has been set free from the cocoon of what was. To live in freedom, both in the physical world in a new way, but in so doing, bringing a consciousness of freedom in the new way. Saint Pope John the Paul wrote this in regards to freedom. Freedom consists not in doing what we like, but in having the right to do what we ought. As awakened metaphysicians, we know that this is both in regards to engaging in the acts of social injustice, but also, and in addition to, as Dr. Maureen Hoyt tells us in The World of And, what we are called to do to awaken to a new consciousness. He writes, on this Independence Day, it's worth asking ourselves, why do we care about freedom anyway? And after we've gone through all the standard replies learned over the years, do we really know what freedom means? Do I know why freedom is important for me? Do I know how to live freely? And what does freedom mean for me, for human beings, for society? And this is the part that I think is so rich, because he tells us it doesn't mean the absence of all restraints or merely spontaneous activity without guidance about the reason why human beings act. A chaotic freedom in society, a disoriented space for the expression of impulses, urges, appetites, and desires, does not lead to a utopia of independent self-realization. Rather, it inevitably results in the emergence of an oppressive social system in which the strongest and most powerful people impose their desires on everyone else. Now, certainly in the world of the United States of America today, we seem to be living in a way that is less oppressive than it was in the previous 4 years, for sure. But yet the oppression still exists to some degree. And so you and I are being called right now, today, to ask ourselves, how are we showing up so that we can live in this construct of society where there are rules and laws and governance, and yet still participate in there being freedom, goodwill for all? Well, we do that by looking at freedom itself, both the construct and the reality and the definition of it. Other words for freedom are liberty, autonomy, latitude, sovereignty, exemption, independence, release, play, liberation, and self-government. We can live in a state of autonomy and liberty while giving ourselves latitude for independence and play and liberation, and self-government of governing the self, in other words, of tending to our mind to the best degree possible. And we do that by being aware of the liberty that we have in life. Liberty, which is defined as the state of being free within a society from oppressive restrictions imposed by the authority of one's way of life, behavior, or political or socio-political views. And so the question that I have for us today is, how are we choosing to live in the world today by being free and showing up with the authority of our own way of life, of being an awakened metaphysician? And are we behaving in a way with our socio-political views to provide the same freedom, independence, and autonomy for others? Today's the day, July 4th in the year 2021, that we can not only break ourselves free into a new state of mind, but to show up through our behaviors in supporting the true statement that nobody is free until everybody is free, both from a metaphysical perspective and a literal perspective. And so today, let's engage in our freedom and our liberty and use our power in a way that is providing freedom, dignity, and love for everyone. For as it shows us on the screen, that we, the people, in the Constitution of the United States of America, indeed means everyone. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago when I was speaking of pride as I read off the Constitution of the United States of America, remembering that even though it was presented as the intention for everyone to be free, that's not taking place here on our soil. But yet we can continue to do our part to let freedom ring in a way to provide for justice and not injustice, both socially, economically, and in a way to not only speak truth and act according to truth, but to be the example and not the exception to others, to standing up for our brothers and our sisters so that they too can live from a place of freedom. As it shows on the screen, I love this great quote that I had borrowed from my soul brother, Derek Brax, from the Paramahansa Yogananda, which says this: to find freedom, we must calm the waves of emotion and dwell ever calmly in the consciousness of love and joy. As experienced and practiced metaphysicians, and for many of us who have been around for years, when we have heard the term treat and move your feet, we are certainly called to being steeped in spiritual practice to live in the consciousness of love and joy. To not let the emotions of what takes place on a daily basis in the world be the guiding force, if you will, to be the guide from which we choose to live life, but to find that balance of both our humanity and our divinity, to show up in the world from a human perspective of taking care of our brothers and our sisters, for we are indeed one, but to then also bring, or in addition to bring, a consciousness of love, of joy, of compassion, and of equanimity and equality. Ernest Holmes tells us, as it shows on the screen, that the freedom is the birthright of every living soil, every living soul, and that we are indeed all created equal. And so today, I invite us to look at our most precious freedom in a new way. Our spiritual freedom, our inner freedom, if you will. I'd like to read to us an article that was written by the great Deepak Chopra that addresses this concept. It's a bit lengthy, so please prepare yourself and listen with your ears tuned in. He writes, there's a spiritual concept that seems to create a good deal of confusion. It goes by the name of freedom or liberation, both terms referring not to political freedom, but inner freedom. The reason that freedom has a spiritual meaning is that a state of total freedom is indeed possible. The confusion arises because at first glance we already feel free inside, most of the time at least. Our thoughts and feelings are our own. We can be persuaded or coerced to change our minds, but in the end, we decide for ourselves. In reality, most people experience only a taste of inner freedom. They exist in a state of limitation that is far removed from total freedom. He goes on to write, I discuss the desirability of total freedom in my new book, Total Meditation, and I'd like to offer a preview here. And here's what he writes. We cannot be free inside if some experiences frighten or distress us. We shut out and deny them, and as a result, many, if not most experiences get edited, censored, forgotten, and pushed aside in favor of a narrow band of experience that feels safe or comfortable. Limited freedom is based on what you can reasonably expect from life. Total freedom, however, begins by looking on life as a field of infinite possibilities. It takes some persuasion to make total freedom seem like more than a pipe dream. However, is it even desirable to feel totally open, unbounded, and free of boundaries to keep us safe? A key issue here is spontaneity. Spontaneity is without rules, which seems like a recipe for anarchy. Rule enforcement is the surest way to keep people in line, or so the rule enforcers believe. He says, consider the extreme example of applying to the bank for a personal loan in China. If you want a loan there, you can use your smartphone, and online lending agencies check you out electronically using data stored in the cloud. An applicant gets accepted or rejected for a loan in 1/10 of a second, after the lending agency has checked out almost 5,000 personal factors, including how firmly your hand moved when you filled out your application and how low you let your phone battery get before recharging it. Imagine that. He continues, each of us is happy to enforce rules upon ourselves. We don't need an authority figure to do it for us. Self-discipline and impulse control are considered desirable as marks of a mature adult. There's a famous experiment in child psychology in which a youngster is placed in a chair with a marshmallow on a table in front of them. The child is told they can eat the marshmallow right now, but if they wait 5 minutes, they will be given 2 marshmallows. The experimenter then leaves the room and watches what unfolds through a two-way mirror. Some children fidget, fighting the impulse for an immediate gratification. Others grab the marshmallow instantly or wait patiently until the 5 minutes is up. Now you and I might know which way we would go, I added. Deepak continues. This experiment implies that we already have a predisposition towards impulse control, or not, from a very early age. However, many of life's greatest gifts involve spontaneity, including falling in love, appreciating beauty, composing music, making art, being surprised with aha moments, and having so-called peak experiences. How can we make spontaneity be life-enhancing without the need to suppress it? The solution is to stop imposing limitations in the first place. This is possible only from the level of total consciousness. From total consciousness. He continues, he says, everyone is divided inside between what is permitted and what is forbidden. You can't resolve this conflict at the level of awareness dictated by the divided self. The war we have with ourselves takes place in the divided self. All manner of judgments, belief, fear of bad consequences, memories of past embarrassment, and socially trained inhibitions are entangled together inside us. Trying to resolve each conflict one at a time is pointless and fated to fail. When we try to decide how spontaneous we want to be, we confront the fact that the divided self doesn't really trust itself. Happily, everyone enjoys enough freedom to enjoy moments of spontaneity. And if we are awake enough, we can experience laughter, joy, and playfulness our entire life. If this were only the norm. The deeper spiritual truth holds that freedom is absolute. When you are settled in yourself and there are no more dark places to fear, nothing hides out of sight. The damaging effect of self-suppression lessens with every step you take to get rid of self-judgment. To get rid of self-judgment. Bad behavior grows only more enticing when it is forbidden, like leaving the cookie jar out but telling a little child not to grab a cookie. We all know what happens when the mother's back is turned. So right now, You and I are both our own rule enforcer and a rebel against the rules. It takes a journey into consciousness to become undivided. You're not designed to prosecute and defend yourself at the same time. For we are not designed so that the next thing that we want to do is the best thing for you. What's required here is a radical rethinking. A radical rethinking of what society tells us to believe. But when we adopt a lifestyle based on consciousness, reality till dawn, then we will be living in an evolved consciousness. Spontaneity is the key. It is the essence of life and the soul of creativity. And so today, let's each ask ourselves, are we willing to begin to dissolve this place within us of this divided self, of living from a place of separateness within ourselves and our consciousness, and then to choose to live from a place of our oneness, of that place within us that is not divided, from a place of consciousness that is reflecting our divine nature. One where the qualities, as we hear each Sunday, are of peace and power and beauty and joy, light and life and love and wisdom. The great teacher, Dr. David Walker, who was a great teacher, but great Dr. David Hawkins, guides us in how to do this on the screen. He writes, detachment from positionalities, and especially the positionalities occasioned by labeling, leads to serenity, freedom, and security. Greater serenity arises from relating to the context of life rather than to the content, which is primarily a game board of interacting egos. This broader style of relating to life leads to greater compassion and emancipation from being at the effect of the world. What he's telling us here is to live, as Dr. Barbara Marx Hubbard tells us, if we're to be a conscious evolutionist, is to live from the essence of who we are, not our ego. To relate to life, as he's telling us here, from a new thought perspective of living with greater compassion. In other words, of passing the I, the divine, the God within onto the world, which then leads to an emancipation of freedom, as we let our freedom ring, from living at the effect of the world, but living with the power of a new thought, of living from who we know and know and know ourselves to be. And so today is the day that we are being called to throw away our collar of self-discipline, that which is the opposite of spontaneity, and to release ourselves from that structure and the construct of imposing the opposite of spontaneity on ourselves, that place where self-hate exists, that place by loving someone who doesn't love us in return, that collar of fear, that collar of imposing that thing within us that allows us to listen to those who may be haters, or by reliving our mistakes and by not being ourselves. We all know and have heard the story of the elephant. It's one of the smartest animals on earth that can be chained to the current moment with a small peg and a chain tied to one limb. And his mind is eventually trained to believe that whether the peg is in the ground or not, obviously he could still pull it up because he's so strong. That the mind is keeping the elephant enslaved to a false idea. And so let's you and I today choose to step into the journey, our journey of finding our personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening in a new way through freedom, to live the rest of our life in a new way that shall be memorable and not average. And we do that by trusting the spontaneity that is deep within us known as the universe. I love this post from the Instagram from Center for Spiritual Living Dallas by Dr. Petra Wells, and she writes this: "The universe is ready to support you. You get to decide the kind of life you want to experience by deciding what kind of person you are. You get to choose the life you want to express by choosing character, integrity, and possibility. The bigger you get on the inside, that place that Dr. Hawkins and Deepak Chopra were telling us about, the bigger your life becomes. The more loving, peaceful, and positive you are on the inside, the more the universe reflects this back to you in ever-increasing ways. The more you can imagine the making of your life, let me read that again, the more you can imagine making of your life, the more you get to manifest. So dream big, embody your truest self, and imagine the life that you want, one that is not divided, is your life right now. Together as one, you and I and the universe are unstoppable." And so today, let's let our freedom ring in a new way as we set ourselves free from being chained to that old false idea, and to live loud and out and proud as an undivided self, taking care of not just ourselves, but being the example for others and illuminating the pathway of freedom. And so it is. Have a happy 4th of July. Thank you.
I was born by the river in a little tent, and just like that river I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change's gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard leaving, and I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. Then I go to the movies, then I go downtown. People keep telling me, don't hang around. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. Then I go to my brother. I said, brother, help me please. But he keeps on knocking me down on my feet. Oh, there was a time that I thought it wouldn't last so long. Now I know that I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will.
Thank you, Dedrick, for a beautiful, beautiful song that has awakened all of us in a new way to let our freedom ring, as I keep saying this morning, and may it continue to ring and ring and ring. Now is the time in our service that we have the opportunity to come together to support our community financially. I'm going to put on the screen the ways for us to do that. And I want to say in advance how much I, along with the Board of Trustees and each and every member of our community, say thank you to all of us, all of you and all of us who continue to support us financially as we continue on this journey of being in community in such a new and wonderful way. Our options are as follows on the screen. You can go to our website, csl-la.org, and click on Donate, or go to the app in the App Store, and that will give you the opportunity to click on the upper left bars, and the screen will come up and you can click on the Donate tab. Or you can mail in a check to us. Our address is 1200 North La Brea Avenue, West Hollywood, California, 90038. Or you can call me. My phone number's on the screen, and I can handle it for you privately. Know that all of these options, once again, are on our website. Our website is a great resource for information for what's taking place at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, as well as our app in the App Store. As we take a moment to participate in conscious giving, I invite Yaron to come on the screen and to take us through our conscious giving song, Love is Our Decision. Yaron?
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, so well, show me how. Love is my decision. My decision, right here, right now. Love is my decision. My decision, right here, right now.
Thank you, Yaron, for taking us through that beautiful song during our conscious giving. And once again, a huge thank you to all of you who support us financially. I'd like to continue in this vein of gratitude and extend some moments of gratitude for our wonderful musician this morning, Dedrick. Dedrick, thank you so much for bringing your light to us and shedding your gift of music with us today. A big thank you to Yaron Spiwak, our music director, for doing the work that he does to not only book our artists, but to show up and take us on a journey of music each and every Sunday morning. A huge thank you to Travis Smith, our audio technician, for working so diligently to make sure our audio tech files are working and that we can present the best and the most wonderful presentation to you as possible. A big thank you to Robert Hensley, our social media expert and administrative assistant, as well as our tech support gentleman. Thank you, Robert, for all that you do. And a huge thank you to all of you, whether you're joining us today through Facebook Live, later on our YouTube channel, or through Zoom. Thank you for participating with us here today on this July 4th, 2021 celebration. We do have our midweek morning meditation that takes place this Wednesday morning. Also, make sure to sign up for our weekly e-newsletter. You can sign up on our website that goes out each week if for some reason you're not receiving those. Also, a reminder that I have a daily text. It's called A New Thought for the Day that goes out each and every morning at 7:30. I'd love to know that you're receiving those and enjoying them. And if you'd like to sign up for that, you can also do that through our website, csl-la.org. I'm going to close out with a meditation. And so after that, we're going to say goodbye. We will not come together this morning on Zoom to commune. We're just going to let everybody free to go enjoy their July 4th holiday. And so let's close with a meditation. And so as we center ourselves and inhale and exhale, we connect to that feeling of being unconstrained, of being free, of feeling the power and the presence of life itself, and that power called life. As we inhale and exhale. And so I affirm for each of us that as we move forward from this moment, that we let our freedom ring by being an example of living from a place of authenticity, from a place of being spiritually awakened, and living in a state of personal self-empowerment in a way that supports each and every sentient being free on this planet. And so in our mind's eye, we see ourselves linking arms, connecting heart to heart with our family of humanity and life itself. And as we take a step forward, we do it collectively, growing, expanding, evolving, and through that awakened state of interconnectedness, collectively as well as individually, we are making a difference. And we revel in the opportunity to grow together and say together, Amen. And so it is. As we inhale, opening our eyes and exhaling, and letting it be as we all say together, and so it is. Have a fantastic 4th of July. Thank you.